It's starting to get more and more real every time I idle away from that ramp of, you know, in 2 days I'm going to be taking off in the Bassmaster Classic Boat 30, and that's been a childhood dream for forever. So special week, very special week.
Three-time winner on the FLW Tour, 20 FLW top 10s. But get loud for Nick LaBrue.
So when I think about what is the highlight of the event, what's the highlight of the experience, I don't know if I can narrow it down to just one thing. But here's a few things that jump out at me. Day 1 takeoff, or day 2 or day 3 takeoff. Any takeoff in the Classic is epic. Growing up as a little boy and watching the Bassmaster Classic on ESPN, and I would see you know, these Classic takeoffs. I mean, to be living that and be in it and not just some guy watching it on TV, I mean, that was powerful, and that was life-changing. That's something I'll never forget. The weigh-in, driving through the arena, you know, holding up a big fish, coming into the arena, seeing the crowd cheer, and I mean, it's wild. I don't know if I'll ever have a fishing experience like that ever again. I definitely want to find a way to get back here and to try to make sure that it happens again. But takeoff, the weigh-in. One cool thing that really happened this week that I'll never forget is here at the boatyard, I was parked next to Greg Hackney and John Cox, and you know, John Cox is somebody that I've looked up to for a long time, and definitely I'd probably say he's one of the top 3 anglers in the world right now. And just being around him and us chatting, and you know, just the camaraderie and the fellowship, you know, and just him talking to me like, you know, I'm just, you know, one of the guys, and really kind of making me feel at home. I mean, that really meant everything to me. For a man of his stature to talk to me as a peer, I mean, that meant a lot to me, because I think in this sport, you know, if you don't have the respect of your peers, then you really don't have anything. And so it was just cool hanging around him this week, and looking into his boat. I asked him about his lithium batteries. He said, well, let me just show you what I've got back here. And he cracks the lid on that Crestliner, and he's got like 7 batteries back there. And my brain exploded, and we laughed and talked about that. So some good times in the boatyard this week too. You know, that would definitely be at the top of the list as far as memorable moments from this week. So this week on Hartwell, my main game plan was shallow. You know, I knew the largemouth were going to be coming. The week before the tournament, it was cold and rainy, but then it was a warming trend. And I mean, I don't care if you're in, you know, Texas or Georgia or South Carolina, this time of year, if it's March 1st and it's getting warmer and warmer, you better be kind of game planning on those largemouth.
Yes! Golly. That's what I'm talking about. Gum, that's a good fish.
I stayed shallow, running creeks and just shallow pockets, covering water. And I feel like if you got one bite, you'd get 3 or 4 bites. You would find an area. I don't think all week long did I fish a mile and only catch one, and that was it. If you got a bite, there's going to be a pack of fish in there. Now, as far as like bait selection and stuff like that, it really wasn't rocket science. I was throwing a V&M J-bug attached to a bladed jig, and you know, that was a 1/2 ounce and just covering water. And then also the Bill Lewis SB57 little square bill crankbait, just chunking and winding, you know, mainly a lot around docks, some kind of around bridges, bridge pilings, riprap, and didn't really get bit on wood a whole lot. I mean, I would see these really good looking laydowns, and I told my marshal today, I'm like, man, I'm tired of fishing these laydowns, you know, but it seemed like most of the bigger fish that I caught were around docks, if not in between docks. The 6-pounder I had on day 2 was dead center in between 2 docks, and I'd caught a 4-pounder off of one of those docks on day 1, and so it's just again one of those little hot areas where the fish are coming to. I found some spotted bass out deep in practice, and I stayed on that for about an hour on day 1 right after takeoff, and it was too windy. They were really deep. I chased them around a while, but with the wind I just couldn't get that you know, that vertical shad down there to them, and so I kind of pulled the plug on that, ran up one of my creeks, made 1 cast with a bladed jig and J-bug and caught one, keeper largemouth. So I'm like, all right, so this is what I need to be doing. On day 2 I found some herring where some bass were schooling on them, and I kind of found it late. I was excited to get back on that on day 3 once I knew I made the cut. I went there this morning. The herring were still there, but there were more stripers there than anything. I caught a few largemouth there. I had 1 3-pounder, but that herring deal just didn't go down the way that I thought. And so, but I learned a lot about it. You know, I had no idea that the herring get in the very back of a pocket and the largemouth go back there kind of like in a pre-spawn thing schooling on them. I thought that the herring bite was just all like main lake islands and bars and stuff, but anyway, so I did learn that, but most of my fish just came the Lowrance Ghost on high, burning the bank, around docks, chunking that J-bug and the bladed jig. So the biggest thing I learned this week is how awesome this experience is, and there's no greater platform to share my love for Christ than this right here. And what I learned is I want to find a way to get back here, and again and again. So hopefully I can win another Open this year in the Centrals. I mean, the schedule's set up really good for me, but you know, right now my ultimate goal is to try to qualify for the elites. And you know, it would be really cool that my next Classic would either be from an Open win or elite qualification. So that's it. I mean, I just want to find a way to get back here and use my platform and tell my story about how Jesus has radically changed my life, but do it at the highest level from the biggest stage. So getting back here is definitely a box to check.